Hi everyone, it's about 6:55 and this is your closing comment. It's video number 273, and if you like the work, please hit the subscribe button and like us. Today was kind of a day back a bit towards normalcy. Um, we had a switch from the strong sectors to the weak sectors, and the stocks that were actually holding the market back a bit the last couple of days came right back to life. And of course, I'm talking about the FANG and the mega cap stocks. Apple had a new all-time high at around 345 and closed 344.90. And that was up about 3.4%. So that's a pretty substantial move. Amazon, which I mentioned yesterday, had an upgrade and a new high price of 3,300. Closed today well on its way, 2604, up 80. And the one that reversed was Boeing. Boeing's been riding this wave of expected reopen and all of the great news from the airlines. And so as the airlines go, so goes Boeing. But the airlines turned tail and moved in the other direction today. UAL was down about $4 or 8.3%. Delta down 7.6%, just under $3. Let's see, we had JetBlue down $1.38, which was 8.9%, and Alaskan Air, which has held up remarkably well, down about 3% or $4.14. The cruise lines also did the same. We had Royal Carib down $1.87 or 7.5%. Carnival, was down 7.5%. Royal Caribbean was down 5.20 or 7%. And Norwegian Cruise was down 273, which was 10%. As I've mentioned before, these stocks have had major short interests in them. And with that comes very sharp rallies, specifically as they move up in the neighborhood of 5, 10, even 20% in a single day from their new low levels. The Dow was down about 300, which was 1.1%, while the NASDAQ made yet another new high, up 29 or 0.3%. S&P was down 25, which was 0.8%. And the Russell closed down 30, which was 1.94. And of course, the lowly transports down well more than they were yesterday, down 227 or 2.2%. You have to remember that they really have not performed anywhere near the rest of the market. We had the oil, which had traded a high of 40.41 yesterday, and then came all the way down and closed $1.36 lower in the 38.19 area. Follow through to the downside this morning, all the way down to 37.07, but managed to turn up and close pretty much on the high, up 75 cents. The gold tested 1,700 again, trading 16.97, and then rallied up to 17.29, closing 17.21.90, up 16.80. Bitcoin had kind of a quiet day. It was up 25 If you recall, yesterday it was down 30. So it hasn't really been doing much, but it has established that it comes either up to or slightly above that 10,000 number. Today it was 99.85 to a low of 96.20, closing 98.05. And I'm going to show you a chart in a second. I'll show you this first one. This is the S&P, which, as you can see, really didn't do much and closed down, and it's slightly higher by $1.50, which is really nothing. $1.50 on the SPY futures is the equivalent of 15 cents on the SPY. But I've been showing you this chart for 2 weeks now, because I think it's the most important chart you can look at when you look at the health of our economy, since the market is clearly not the economy. And this is the US dollar. And as you can see, I'm going to bring this in a little. As you can see, as I've pointed out, 2.5 weeks ago, it was at par. It had no trouble once it broke 99, to break 98, to break 97, and today to close at 96.32. And so we're well on our way to testing this low at 94.5, unless something dramatic happens. And it really doesn't look like that's going to be the case. The moving averages all flattened out and have rolled over, and I expect to see it lower. 2 oil stocks that I mentioned this morning was a downgrade of CVX, Chevron, and it had traded down about $3 pre-open, never got as bad as that during the day, and in fact closed down only half that, or slightly more than half that, at $1.74. And Bank of America upgraded Oxy, and it went in the other direction, although not in an overwhelming manner, considering that it was up $3 yesterday. It closed today 20.48, down $1.22, or 5%. So all around, it was kind of an interesting day. There were 2 major movers that I haven't mentioned yet. One is, the symbol is Lake, L-A-K-E. It's called Lakeland, and they make protective clothing. And the stock had traded up during the day and has been hanging pretty well. In February, it was $12. And when COVID really started to break out, it went from 12 to 28 in 6 days. And then by the middle of May, it was back to about $12.50. Closed 16 today, but in the after hours, it moved up to 23.60, and that was the last, up 760, or just under 50%. But the home run of the day, symbol IMRN, Imuron. It's an Australian biotech that closed the day yesterday at $2.10, opened this morning at $9.97, and traded up to $28.99. This is a company that has been granted permission, it's Australian, has been granted permission for an international registration for a test of their E. coli drug. And it managed to close at 20, up $17.90, or 852%. In the aftermarket, it's down a little to $16.69, which is still up $14.60, or 700%. So that's about it. I think that later on tonight, I'm going to do an instructional video on bankruptcy, because I don't want any of our subscribers or anyone in our Discord room to be misinformed about what happens with a bankruptcy. And of course, the star of that will probably be Hertz. Have a good evening, everyone, and I'll be back in the morning. Don't forget to subscribe.